Golf clubs have never been more expensive, but golfers around the world keep making the same silly mistakes when spending their money. Hi everyone, my name is James and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss the biggest mistakes we see as PGA pros. Guys, how are you, mate?
I'm good, thanks.
That golfers make around the world when buying golf clubs. We're going to talk through putters, wedges, irons, woods, and of course drivers. Hopefully save you guys some money and hopefully help you guys start playing better golf. We're going to start with putters because there's a really interesting, I'd call it a fad, but I think it's beyond that. There's a really interesting momentum with putters at the moment, with forgiveness and with obviously line goal balance and zero torque and low torque. But I want to kick things off with, make sure, and this goes for the whole bag that we're talking about, make sure you're buying genuine products to kick off with.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple of putters here, and as you can see, I actually got scammed with one of these a couple of years ago, and I hold my hands up, this was off eBay, and this is one Gaz has got off Temu. Make sure you're buying something genuine. This isn't just for putters, this is just for everything. But generally you can start, especially with putters, to think, oh, it's a good deal, like I'm saving some money, so I'm gonna go with it. You all right, Bob?
I think yours especially. I mean, that's gone past my eyes. I'm a PGA pro and I genuinely thought that were a real product.
Yeah, and like I did for a while, and then you start, luckily enough, people in the comments actually informed me, said, James, that's like the fakest thing you'll ever see. Obviously,
Yeah.
I think yours looks a lot worse, yours looks horrendous. But that's just a real quick snippet of some of the problems you can see. One of the big things I want to talk to you about putters is making sure you buy on performance as well.
Yeah,
so obviously,
absolutely.
we've been looking at Lab putters for quite some time now. I'm a huge fan of what they're doing. I actually went out to visit the guys at Lab in Oregon just a couple of weeks ago. So lucky to spend time with Sam Hahn, with Liam, the club fitter, and with Carter and all the guys there. And so many people will just go and buy a Scotty Cameron or an Odyssey or anything because maybe it fits their bag. That's one of the big problems I see. I see people who have Titleist irons all of a sudden want a Scotty Cameron putter, all of a sudden want Vokey wedges. You're not buying the best thing for your game. For me, I think, especially with the online fitting, I'm not saying go and buy a Lab, but I'm saying think about what will work for your game the most. Like, I'm absolutely loving life with a low torque putter now, and I know you're the same, aren't you? You've tried loads of different putters and it has really helped. So if you are wanting to really improve your putting and improve your scores, that leaf's absolutely done me in there, hasn't it? But it could really start to help you hone those scores a little bit. When we start talking about drivers, we start talking about shafts, we start talking about grips, there's so many mistakes you can make and you can start wasting your money. And I think it's such a shame because people work hard for the money, especially nowadays more than ever. You don't have as much kind of expendable income. So if you are going to spend money, let's think about, right, well, can we get the club that's going to help my game the most, and can we get the club that's essentially going to help us lower our scores? What's the issues you've seen with putters?
Well, I think the biggest myth in putters is that it's not the putter, it's the person. And I think that's a load of rubbish. Honestly, I don't know where that's come from, because there's so much technology in putters now to help people, and I'm fed up of hearing it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you cannot get the same performance with, you know, a putter that Jack Nicklaus used, a blade, than you can with, like, you know, a proper custom built line goal balance putter.
Yeah.
And I'm dead certain on that.
And one of the things I've seen as well is people say, oh, I know so many people who've been fitted for a driver. Probably most golfers we've played with at one time have had either a loose fitting or a proper full professional fitting of a driver and their irons. Putters, I can count on probably one hand how many people have had a proper putter fitting, and you can't even do it online now with the guys.
And I were laughing in your introduction because you were saying about, you know, mistakes that golfers make, and we've made the same mistakes, haven't we? Buying putters. I mean, I went through a craze of buying Scotty Camerons just because they look nice.
Exactly the same.
You know,
I've still got 5 of them at home.
Tyrilliums and, you know, fancy, you know, putters, circle teasers, just because they look nice.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, we're a bit more educated. We're buying putters that are actually fitted to us.
Yeah.
And actually, look, to me, these days, is not the biggest appeal of the putter.
We'll include some of the, we've just had a match literally a few moments ago, we'll include some of the putts that we've holed, because without holding those putts, golf isn't as enjoyable, isn't as exciting, is it? So obviously your scores aren't going to be as good either.
I think you've got to like the feel of it, you've got to be able to get the weight of the putts, but most importantly, line up to the line. That's my first ever time trying that putter, actually.
And you see, the really interesting thing here is, so that putter's designed specifically for me, Liam from Lab fitted before it, and I like to stand over it. I like to get more upright. You can see the toes up in the air because that's not how Gaz stands. So that specific putter wouldn't suit him. So if you are going to go and buy a second-hand putter, make sure it's not specifically fitted for somebody else. Gaz would be better off with Bobby's putter. And if you want to see those videos, they're either online now or coming very, very soon, where it's a little bit flatter, a little bit longer, and it rotates more. But just make sure, guys, if you are spending big money on putters nowadays, that you're not going to waste your money and just go and get something because it's pretty. Shall we move on?
Yeah, definitely. I think value it as much as you would a driver, because you're going to
100%.
use it more than a driver.
Sorry, mate, never again. So wedges is a really interesting phenomenon that people waste so much money on and get totally wrong. Also, people probably don't change the wedges as often as maybe they should. The amount of people that would come for a short game lesson and start looking at the wedges they have in, they have the first ever Vokey in, and you think, well, the grooves are gone, the head, you're all right.
Sorry. Sorry, mate.
But basically, some of the problems I see with wedges, first of all, I think the most important thing is the gapping, because you have so many shots within that 120 yards. Make sure the gapping is correct. Don't just go for a generic 60, 54, 58 or 60, 56, 52. Make sure that you know how far you're hitting them, and also make sure you get the right kind of grind on there as well, because you can see here we have actually some quite difficult locate. There's something in the box I'm going to show you. So I haven't just brought the box for no reason, but you can see we have some different grinds here. These are what I think the best wedges of the year so far. The new mill grind MG5s, fantastic wedges, lots of different options, not too many options though. You can see this SX bounce here really just allows you to open that face up a little bit more on the 60. So if you are kind of a little bit unstuck when it comes to grinds, speak to your local pro, speak to somebody who would fit you for them, and you'll make sure that you get the right clubs for you. You can see how I can kind of nip that off the surface there, get a little bit of spin and play it in nicely to that shot. That's a lot more difficult with the wrong bounce. But there's actually, I think, a problem here. You don't have to have 3 matching wedges or 2 matching wedges. You can have, did you know this, right? You can have 2 different wedges from different manufacturers. This is something, again, guys, we're saying this because we've made these mistakes all our lives. If you look here, these are the brand new Cleveland wedges. Let me try and find the perfect one, because I've got these to review. Oh, perfect. 58 CBZ. Look at that. So that's got a full face. It's got huge cavity back versatility, and it's perfect for like all conditions as well. So
you could blend that, couldn't you?
Exactly. Like if you just struggle with a certain couple of shots, then that could be the absolute perfect wedge for you, just for either a certain distance or a certain shot. Yeah. We've got this in 10 degrees of bounce. There's plenty of bounce on here, so we should really be able to just play nice kind of similar shots with it. I've nipped that absolutely beautifully. Come down the slope maybe? Come on. Oh, it is. This might go in this, you know. Go on then. But that is absolutely beautiful, and you don't have to have all the same wedges.
I've seen it so many times where people jump from like a full cavity, like a G series iron, or big cavity into a blade like this, when really if they blended it with something like that, that's probably because Ping didn't do a blended sort of wedge, so they've just got Ping bladed wedges. Get yourself a couple of Cleveland.
Because wedges aren't cheap anymore. Like how much is a new Vokey, Bob, in the shop? 200, 180. So you get 3 wedges, you're 550 quid, 560 quid in.
But I think what you said is a great point. It's just you don't have to match the wedges into your irons.
Yeah. Have you got anything to add with that? Because I know I've kind of took that.
I think distance gapping is important. I think, you know, a lot of people just go 50, 54, 58 and I know you mentioned this already, but it's probably find out what distance you like, what you're comfortable with. Everyone's got I'm rubbish when it comes to 50, 60 yards. I like to play, you know, either 100 yards or 70 yards. So I've got lofts to, you know, marry into what I enjoy playing. And then I try and leave them distances. You can't buy a wedge to cover every distance, can you?
No, absolutely not. And even to the point of, if short game is your nemesis, think about something like maybe one of the 11 hybrids where they do a 47 degree. We'll put that on screen. We're filming with them just the other day. A fantastic option for somebody who just doesn't like short game, and it can really help you. Or thinking about chipping with a 7 wood, again, that's got loads of bounce on it. The bunkers are totally different proposition. Bunkers are a very difficult place for a lot of people, and a wedge can help you. Something with lots of bounce can help you. But certainly if you struggle inside that 100 yards, think about what makes it better for you, not necessarily what looks better in the bag.
Can I just try that?
Yeah.
Just one.
How much easier does that make it? Just
so having easier to nip into off that surface.
You don't see many cavity back wedges anymore, and that's certainly something which I think people should start to look at in 2025, and a huge mistake that so many of you guys are making. Let's move on to irons, because that's where people spend a lot of money, like a lot. So when it comes to irons, this is where it can be a minefield. You can buy online, you can go D2C, you can get fitted with your local PGA Pro. You can walk into Costco and buy some toilet roll and then a set of irons. So you do have to be careful. And the first thing I want to talk about is head design, set makeup. Do you want blade? Do you want cavity back? Do you even maybe want a hollow bodied iron to throw in there just to make it a little bit easier? And how far do you go? Do you go pitching wedge to 4 iron? Do you go pitching wedge to 3 iron? Do you get a hybrid? Do you get 2 hybrids? Do you go graphite shafts? One of the things I wanted to mention in the wedge section is don't be scared to get some graphite shafts in your wedges, because it can really help you release the club and start striking it better. What are some of the big things you see, guys? Because I'm a big fan of the irons I've got. I've got a set of Tacoma irons here. They are obviously online, but I did go and get them retrofitted at the guys at SGGT. So you can see I've got some really nice LA Golf shafts in there. Now for me, it's a really nice combo set because I've got CBs up to 7 iron or down to 7 iron, and then 8-9 wedge. I've actually got some blades as well. So I have a nice kind of mishmash, and you can see that I can just hit some really nice shots there. These are fitted for me, so they should be absolutely perfect, and that one's gone pretty close to be fair. I'm really happy with that one. But also you start to see about kind of shaft weight, shaft flex, shaft torque. What is the thing that you see most?
I think with irons, I think people sometimes don't realise that every brand has its own standard in terms of lie. So, you know,
that's huge. There's no industry standard whatsoever. Loft and lie.
So if you're buying off the internet, if you're not going for a custom fit, is maybe think about getting a retrofit afterwards, you know, and having the lies measured and married up to the ball flight you're trying to create. Because it's not as simple as just measuring your wrist to floor, and obviously how tall you are. You can really obviously produce, you know, draw a fade with the help of the light. You don't have to be sat.
How do you feel about people still using loft and lie boards? You like just a board with...
I'm dead against it. Yeah. Absolutely against it, because, you know, obviously you've got to relate it to how the ball flies, not, you know, how it impacts on the ground so much. There's a bit of tolerance with that, but obviously, yeah, I think that, and I think for me, is getting the right profile iron. I think we all rush into getting that next profile. If you get to like 16 handicap, you start thinking of mid-size irons, and when you get to 8 handicap, you start thinking of blades. You know, I think that don't rush into that next level.
Yeah, and I think even now, I think I could be guilty of this, because I have this combination set. Like I said, I like it. I think it just goes down nicely. There are times, to be honest, where with a par 3 at 135, 140 yards, I hit 9 iron, I don't quite catch it, and I come up short, and I think, if I had CBs in the full set, that would have got to the green, it would have been fine. So there's still times, but then there's times when I'm playing really well, and I think, oh, I love this blade at 9 iron, I can really do what I want with it. It looks fantastic, and I love everything about it. So I guess the big error is, don't misjudge your ability. But then if you are going to get blades in any kind of set of the bag, I think you just need to be getting the reps in. You need to be hitting shots. You need to be going to the range. You can't just, unless you're very, very skilled and talented, like our friend Nathan, you can't just run down to the first tee with a bladed 3 iron and hit it 230 yards.
You're so right. I think we buy clubs based on his best performance, don't we?
Yeah.
We don't think of his worst performance when we're buying clubs. Yeah. And actually, how often are we playing his best golf?
And when it comes to how much money you should spend with irons as well, let's think about that. Should you go brand new? Should you go second hand? Should you go to the Callaway Certified Pre-Iron website, which we did some videos on just last month? There's some really good deals there. You can get clubs in certain specs as well. Should you go D2C? Should you go to the Tacoma website and get a set of 301s? Because you can get them in different shafts, different shaft lengths, different lie angles. But make sure you know what the lie angle is, because Tacoma won't have an industry standard, just like we said. There also might be some tolerances in there as well. So make sure when the clubs come, this is the biggest thing, I think. People order a set of clubs at 2 degrees flat, but TaylorMade and Ping and Callaway, I don't know what they do now, but they used to have tolerance of 2 degrees. Yeah. So they could just be flat, or they could even be the wrong way.
I think that's the key, is there's nothing wrong with going direct to consumer or buying second hand, but then you can go to a master fitter and get all your lofts and lies checked, and maybe even, you know, book a fitting and a
club MOT could be a really good thing once a year, couldn't it, just to make sure your clubs are doing what you want them to do. Right guys, let's move up into the woods, because woods are where I think this is the sexy bit. I think this is the bit that people have either skipped to or really want to look at. So let's get on that tee, let's talk about drivers, and let's see just how you could maybe improve your game by not making these mistakes. So when it comes to driver, the big thing I think is, what shaft and loft do we want? Because when you get those things right, you generally get the best ball flight for you. And then how much do you want to spend? Because so many people potentially think that the best driver each year gets better and better and better, and that might happen when it comes to forgiveness. We're not going to see big ball speed jumps anymore. We're not going to see big distance jumps anymore. So you had a really interesting thought, guys, about what people should do when looking at drivers.
Yeah, I think for me personally, it's quite easy to optimise yourself at perfect launch and spin. But again, we go back to like with irons, how often are we playing as best golf?
Yeah.
And you know, what I've found works for me is optimising my driver that I don't potentially get the most distance I can,
Yeah.
but I'm getting more accuracy by having a bit more launch and a bit more spin.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite, you know, if you're going for a custom fitting, it's fair to say to the fitter, look, you know, I don't want you to optimise it, because Sam naturally does that for me. He thinks I'm a pro.
Yeah.
He naturally gets me best ball flight and distance, but then when I'm off with it, I'm off.
And it's interesting because you could optimise something for that 1 in 10 shots so it goes 5 yards further, it looks better on a launch monitor, or you can optimise it for a round of golf that keeps it in play more and makes golf more enjoyable. Another thing I want to talk about is the potential of something like this. So I put a mini driver in play a couple of years ago, and I always kind of play around with them. Like if I start playing anything like badly, the mini driver is the first thing that comes in, because for me it just makes it so much more enjoyable, so much easier, and I can really start to just hit more fairways. I don't actually even lose that much distance. You can see with this, if I can hit a nice knuckleball shot up the fairway there, that one's going to bound up and run down that fairway, and I guarantee that's pitched around kind of 250, 260 and releasing up to 280, 290. So it does what I want it to do. It's 11.5 degrees, it's got a 3-wood shaft in there, and it's really doing everything I want it to do. The biggest problem, you all right, Bob? The biggest problem I see is when people get the key.
Yeah.
So you have your fitting, you get your driver, it's in the right specs, you've got the right shaft in there, you've made sure that it's fitted, and they give you a key with it.
Yeah.
And you play one bad round of golf and you start messing around with it. That, for me, is a disaster.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think, sorry, I don't know what to say now. One sec. You can cut where I said I can agree with it. I can move on from that with drivers.
Tea nearly impaled me.
Oh, I'll tell you what, shafts.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And I think another big mistake, and I'm guilty, we're all guilty of making these mistakes, not just you guys, is when people start to try to self-fit.
Yeah.
So they buy shafts, you know, oh, I'm going to try an extra stiff shaft, so they're trying a different flex. But what you don't realise is what that's doing to the swing weight of the club, and it throws it out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have gone and spent £150, £200 on a really nice exotic shaft, but it doesn't outperform the old product because it's not balanced right.
Yeah. Guys, some really key thoughts there and some really interesting things of kind of silly mistakes that a lot of golfers make. So hopefully that'll help you moving forward if you are in the market for new golf clubs. And remember, you don't always need to buy new golf clubs. You can go and get lessons. You can just go and enjoy your golf with what you've got. As long as you're enjoying your golf and getting out there and playing, that's all that matters. Guys, thank you for your time. Really, really good. If you've enjoyed that, guys, smash that subscribe button below. Thank you so much for your time as always, and we'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.